Okay, in this video we're going to discuss the 5-day right-to-know response requirement by an agency. So you submitted that right-to-know request, you got 5 business days to get a response from the agency. So what does that actually mean? Well, an agency's got 5 business days to give you a response. It's either going to give you the documents you've asked for, or it's going to file an extension of time so that the borough can, or an agency can prepare those documents. There might need to be redactions. There might need to be things taken out of the documents that's not subject to public access. So let's take a look at a real life example. This just happened to the borough back on November the 3rd from one of a more experienced requester. And there was a folly that was made in trying to come up with their determination on when the 30-day extension actually expired. So let's take a look. The request that the borough got was on November the 3rd. And before I go any further, I have to thank my daughter Lena for the wonderful calendars that she made here today, November and December. She worked very hard to get all these boxes almost completely square from my judgment. So she did a pretty good job there. Thank you, Lena. So the right-to-know request was submitted on November the 3rd with a blue X there. 5 business days begins 1 day after the request is submitted. So you can't do anything on Saturday, can't do anything on Sunday. Monday's day 1, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Uh-oh, we've got a problem here, a big red X on a Friday the 10th. That's because Vets Day is Saturday, and it's observed with the borough on Friday. So that is a non-business day. You can't use that day. Monday the 13th would be the 5th and final business day in particular to this request. Now, the purple here indicates the agency, the borough, responded to this right-to-know request on November the 8th. You cannot run 30 days from that day. That would be incorrect. The 30 days begins 1 day after the 5th day of the right-to-know request. So in the agency's case, the 30 days begins on the 14th, and that runs through November, and of course, the 30th day would fall on Wednesday, December the 13th, which we have there in purple, agency's final response. So it gave an initial response. It said it needed 30 more days to process the request, and then it went ahead and responded finally on Wednesday the 13th. Now, the requester in this matter stated that, well, you had 30 days after you submitted your initial response. That would take them to this point here, December the 8th. And the requester actually called the borough and threatened to appeal the matter, and you can appeal an agency if they've not responded. So let's say an agency completely ignores a requester's request for information. It's what's called a deemed denial. And then the requester can go ahead and submit an appeal to the Office of Open Records in Harrisburg to have them take a look at the issue and either open the case back up or get the agency to do additional work. In this case, an appeal was filed by the requester on Friday the 8th, and then within a day, the Office of Open Records dismissed it as what they called premature, and that's because the days weren't followed here by the requester. Agency had until the December the 13th to make that response, in which case the agency did and followed through and did what they were supposed to do. So that's how the initial 5 days works with the 30-day extension. So an agency has a total of 35 days to get a response out to a requester. You have to keep in mind that the request for documents, it could be 10 pages, it could be 1,000 pages. It doesn't mean you're going to get everything within the first 5 days. The law never once said that all has to be given to a requester in 5 days. The law is pretty strict in that 35 days is about as max as it'll go. Whether or not an agency works something out with a requester to get additional days, that could happen as well, but the law is pretty strict on the first 35 day. It's actually something that I know our agency would ask legislation to kind of look at, because 35 days for the borough of Bath isn't the same as it would be for in the case of, let's say, the city of Philadelphia or Allentown, where these agencies, these cities have a lot bigger right-to-know departments that can handle specifically right-to-know requests, whereas in the borough of Bath, we're not only tasked with right-to-know requests, but we also have to manage every other aspect of the borough at the same time. So you can imagine a 1,000-page request and trying to get that off in 35 days, especially if it's technical, it requires review from legal, it requires review from IT, whatever the case may be, all the different public resources as we explained in the intro video that could partake to processing that request. You can see that 35 days is not a lot of time. And if you get multiple requests from the same person, you can also understand that generates burden and it's just hard to comply within that 35-day window. So I hope this video has been helpful in understanding the first 5 days of the right to know request process and what that means. Hope the video helps. Stick around for some additional right to know videos that should be coming out soon. Take care. Bye.